Okay.
So here we are today, and we're going to be making some tassels. We've got a few hats this year, haven't we, Mel, that's got tassels on. This is one of them. This is...
So we've got Frankie, which this was a prototype, so these tassels will actually be on a crochet cord. This one, the top one, will be like that. And then we have Misha, the little crocheted baby bonnet.
Which we haven't got one of with us today, but we're just going to show you how to make the tassels anyway. They're not terribly complicated, but the finishing of them just needs to be right to make them look neat.
Nice and neat, and have even heights with your bobble bits.
So Mel's done a bit of experimenting with making the tassels, so she's going to show us how to do it. And she's going to make one for a Frankie, and I'm going to make one for a Misha. We're going to do it at the same time, and Mel's going to instruct me, and hopefully we should come up with some lovely tassels at the end.
Yeah. So what you're going to need is, I've cut little bits of card here. Frankie, the tassels are done on 10 centimetres, and Misha 8 centimetres. So if you do a card that's 10 by 8 centimetres, then you'll be set for making both pom-poms. So
okay.
Thank you, that one.
Thank you.
And I've got this.
And
so Frankie's on the nice chunky wool, and Frankie you're going to want to wrap 20 times, but Misha, because the wool's that bit lighter, it wants 30 wraps.
Yeah.
So what we do, so Frankie's going this way, the long 10 centimetres. I'm just going to wrap 20 times. Well, Becky's going to do 30, so we might have to be quiet and count, otherwise we'll get lost.
Yeah,
One,
okay, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, whoops, that's my wool.
29 and 30. There we go. I've got my 30 wraps. Mel needs to pick up her yarn from the floor. That's the trouble with a proper ball, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay.
So just you don't want to weave wrap them too tightly. So just keep it quite nice. Then snip off a little bit below. We can even the edges up later on. Now, if your tassel is one that's going to want a crocheted cord afterwards, so that'll be the Misha tassels and the ones on the brim of the Frankie, then you're going to need to cut a really long bit of wool. So go for about 2 metres.
2 metres?
My table is conveniently a metre.
I'm just going to measure from my nose to my hand. That's about a metre, isn't it? I'm sure you can't see that, but I'm measuring from my nose to my hand.
Maybe do an extra it.
And a bit more.
Just to be safe.
That's 2 metres.
So snip that off.
Cut it off.
And so this is going to be used to tie off the top bit of the tassel. So what I do is I put it through once and then wrap it round.
Does it need to go the whole way through, Mel? Does it need to be
we'll be evening it up, yep. So pull it through quite a long way, and then wrap and go round again. Just make sure those edges are held down. And then what I do to even it up is I get the 2 ends together and just run my hand down and just gently sort of pull it out, and it'll be nice and even if you like.
That's the theory, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting a bit tangled up here. Oh, no, that's not
and to keep your that wrap nobbled bit at the top of the card, away on the opposite ends from where you wrapped.
Not quite.
You'll be alright if there's a little bit. Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah. So then just wiggle your wrap up to the top of the card. I need to loosen
it off a little bit. Yeah.
Wiggle
it up to the top. You need 3 hands.
Yeah. Actually, maybe like a peg or one of those bulldog clip or something to clip your ends down. Might be handy if you're struggling. Okay. So now at the end, I just tie a double knot. Oh, this is where it does get a little bit tangled as well.
It does get a bit fiddly, doesn't it? When
so
you're
this
doing
sort of reef knot,
a little bit.
left over, right and under, pull it tight, and then right over left and under the other one.
We need to put it tight at the top, do we now?
You're relatively tight, but because if you're coming back to do the crocheted chain on this, then you will need to get through there. So if you're doing it for the top of the Frankie, do it nice and tight. These ends will be used to weave it into the hat or do the crochet chain. So if you are just doing this one here for the end, you only need probably 40 centimetres is the amount that you would use to wrap around and tie off.
Alright,
So
so
now
I've got my ends.
Now we've done that, we're going to get our scissors
Exciting.
and snip off.
Just snip down the,
Just
down the
snip,
middle.
just cut. Yep. Right along the edge of the card.
Oh, do you want to cut the card?
No,
Oopsie.
don't cut paper with my nice crafty scissors.
Sorry,
have been
sorry.
cool.
Okay.
So there we have a nice little beginnings of a tassel. So now we're going to cut a piece
There
to
you go.
tie off round our bobble here. So maybe about 30 or 40 centimetres.
Okay, this is the bit that I
Yeah.
find really fiddly, Mum.
It is tricky. I should probably point out I'm left-handed and Becky is right-handed. So if things look a bit weird,
They're
that'll
opposite.
be that will be why. So with the Frankie ones, you want your bubble to be about 2.5 centimetres down here. So and with the Misha about 1.5 centimetres. So do a little bit of manipulating, smoothing down a little bit. So there.
This is so funny, this bit.
Right, then just so tie a single knot and gently tighten it off. So this wants to be a bit off centre, so you want to have one long bit and one short bit that's just a wee bit longer than the tassel, so we can trim it later. I've got a ruler here. Because you do want them to be the knots the same size when you're doing two on a thing, just it does pay to just measure them up and make sure you're in about the right place.
How long am I supposed to be?
1.5 for the measure.
Oh, look at that. Spot on.
Awesome. So tie just a single knot, pull it quite tight, and then
Just one
one knot, yep,
Yeah.
because we're going to secure it with the long end. So I want to thread the long end on the needle.
I think my end's a little bit too long here, but never
Oh,
mind.
that's okay.
We can always cut it off later. Okay, so I've secured my long end.
So just pull it tight while you're doing it. If you've got your other end, you just want a little bit longer because it'll help you to pull it tight as well. So then we just wrap around, I usually wrap around 3 times or 4, 1, 2, 3. Keep that nice and tight. If you hold all your tassel ends together, so make sure you are getting all the tassel bits. Like that in your hands.
Like an octopus.
Smooth them down the pink especially. Okay. So then with the needle, what I do, so I just poke it in at the very top of the tassel and angle sort of just right through.
Through the
Going
top
right through,
section.
right through the centre and pull it out. And pull that tight. It's going to be really hard to see on this blackboard, isn't it?
Is that okay?
Yep.
Pull that nice and tight.
Yeah. And then just take a little tuck at the top. If you do it really close to the wraps, then basically these wee stitches will be hidden by the wraps. So then I angle down to take another little stitch from underneath. This is just going to secure the strands as nicely as possible. And one more little stitch in at the bottom, and I bring it up the top again.
Oh no, look, my tassels are going to do.
I always
There
hold
we go.
the whole sort of tassel
Yeah.
in my hand. So
I'm
then
more
this,
dexterous than you, I think. I'm a bit
Okay.
cack-handed.
yeah. So then this last, just one more little tuck, and then bring it down under the strands and pull it the whole way through.
Hold on,
And-
wait for me. I'm
sorry.
still on the previous tuck. Hang on, I've got a cord. Is it? Okay, and
Yeah.
now the last one.
So then
is
just one tack that goes down and under the
down and under
yeah.
there, like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just pull the other end. Oops, not that one. Pull one tight. Snip the ends off, and that is basically that's your basic tassel.
You can always trim off some
Yeah,
of the little
so
longer
trim off
ends,
the
or
wee
make it a
end
little
bits.
bit more even.
Yeah.
If you've got any bits that are hanging down, it's easy enough to do.
And then
Give it a little haircut.
yeah.
There we go.
Shake. There's your spits. And there's the basic tassel.
Super.
So it wasn't too hard.
No.
It wasn't. So then you can use these two ends if you're just weaving it directly onto the hat to sew it in as you normally would. If we are crocheting, this is the bit that's a bit different. I might actually, sometimes I find I need a smaller crochet hook to get started. The Misha, because it's crocheted on a 5.5 mil hook, I would use the hook that you'd be using for the hat. And Frankie is on 6mm. I usually use the 5.5mm hook as well because that's what I've got handy. So something that's quite chunky. So we need to go through the loop and the knot. This is probably going to be harder on the Misha bit because you have that loop.
I see. Oh yes.
Yeah.
So you went around twice, didn't you? So you need to go through the first loop and the knot.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
it. And then pull your stitch through. This will be good for the left-handers. I'll have a left-handed crochet as well. So now you want to change
Now
to
I
your
want to
bigger
change
hook,
to a bigger hook.
especially with the finer yarn.
Yeah.
We do need to use that small one. And then just crochet. I think for the Frankie it's only 8 centimeters, but for Misha it's 20 or 25 centimeters. So you now just crochet a chain. It's quite sticky wool.
Yeah, I'm thinking now that I probably should have made mine a little bit longer because I've now run out of yarn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
make it much longer than you think you need it to be. Would be the top tip there.
To measure that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know my table is a metre, so I can be
Never mind.
accurate. But yeah, if
It's
you have
just
some measurement.
just as an example.
Whereas yes, that 2 metres for
Yeah.
the Frank is probably a bit too much.
Ah.
So we're all learning these things.
Yeah.
So then just when you get to that length you want, pull it out like normal, and then you can use these ends to weave it in to the brim of the Frankie. Probably isn't going to show it very well.
Bottom of the ear flap of the Misha. That's where it goes, isn't it? The bottom of the ear flap of the Misha.
Yeah.
So then you can just sew it on with
The only other thing I'll just mention, when you do sew them on, take a stitch through the hat and then a stitch through to somewhere on the chain. It just makes a smoother join.
Okay.
But it's a bit hard to show that without having a hat.
Don't try and just sew this bit on. Stitch it through both. Stitch it through the hat and the first stitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always do the 2 strands separately, so it's a bit more secure.
Okay.
As well.
So we have a really lovely little tassel.
Perfect.
Thanks, Mel.